Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino. And today I have a special guest. He is a co-founder of Swift Passport and Visa Services and a seasoned entrepreneur in the international travel space. With a strong background in business and personal foundation as a yoga teacher, he blends mindfulness with strategy leadership. His human centered approach has helped him navigate complex challenges while driving innovation. Under his leadership, Swift has grown into a tech forward company known for simplifying global travel, logistics, and delivering exceptional personalized services. His unique perspective continues to shape the future of travel solutions, balancing efficiency with empathy. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Rob Lee. What's going on, Rob? How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me, Caesar.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to have you here. So, why don't we just start by letting us know a little bit about your background? Where are you originally from, and how was that upbringing for you?
Great. I was born and raised outside Detroit, Michigan. Uh, Myself and a brother grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. Great, great place to grow up. Although I think I had the urge of many kids is to get out of where I where I grew up from. I
Yeah.
I went to college at Michigan State University where I studied forest and resource conservation. And then I quickly landed a job with the U.S. government out in Missoula, Montana, which
Mm.
is, yeah, which is where I met my wife, Lori, and we were the most we're business partners in our business, and we were the most unlikely business owners, I think, based on our background. Like I said, I was a forestry major, and then she was a wildlife biology major, so two,
Yeah.
not really in the business world.
Uh, Yeah, how does that happen? I mean, for real, like when you think about it, it's like definitely, kind of opposite polars, right? So how do you go from that to being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, kind of having that? Because I think that, especially nowadays, I believe more so than, both you and I growing up, I think this is more where people are looking for. Like, how do I dive into becoming a business owner or being an entrepreneur, and diversifying in that space?
Yeah, I think it all started. We like I said, we met in Montana and we moved to Costa Rica for a year. Lori had a job with a study abroad program, and I taught English and a couple other things. It was there that we started our first business. I don't think it was intentional, but we had this co-op of coffee growers that were in the area, and we were able to sell some of their coffee. And it was kind of like on a whim, but we liked the idea of creating a business. Fast forward a few years later, we abruptly ended up in Chicago, where she's from, and we had the opportunity to start a business then with absolutely nothing to lose at the time. So it was kind of it was there ready for us to do with what we wanted to do with it.
Yeah, man, I have so many questions because you just sparked something that really I think falls in line with what we're seeing now, right? And part of it, it kind of comes down to what you're doing, right? You initiating and or building a travel business during the shutdown. Now, imagine COVID and all that stuff, right? More so now when you see social media. Again, if we're looking, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, that wasn't really a thing. So, people can only imagine, hey, I seen books of, Costa Rica or other places, and based on what I see, it would be nice for me to kind of go there now, right?
Right.
Now it's different because everybody's traveling, they're posting videos, pictures, and so the adrenaline of I want to be there now is huge. So I guess how did you end up in Costa Rica? Because like that's definitely, for those that have not been there, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful tropical place, and people have the idea of not only do I want to go on vacation, what about if I can move there, retire? In your case, you were there for about a year. How did that come about? Tell me more about it because I think people want to do that now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was, so we were still young. This was back in the early 2000, 2000, 20 years ago, 2005. And Lori had gotten a job working at a semester abroad program in this town. And at the time, the internet was small, like,
Yeah.
things on the internet, but like there's a job posting that I found to teach English. And I had just gotten a certification to teach English as a second language, and I was like, "Oh, I could do that." And it worked out that we were in the same town, like just up the road from each other. And you ask how people can do it. That was one of the things that I saw a lot of people doing. That was teaching English. Like, if you want to go somewhere for an extended period of time, and you have this certification to be able to teach English, that's like one of the best things to do anywhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then in terms of travel, I think that's one thing that people have in their bucket list. I do a lot of coaching, and when I speak to people, it's like, what are your top five things you want to do? And I always, obviously generational wealth. The other one is vacation, leave things for my kids, just travel around the world. I think that's huge. Let's talk about you building your business,
Mhm.
his travel business, when literally it was very hard to get on a plane, when it was, literally a lot of places were shut down. I mean, even staying local, if you want to go out and get something to eat, you couldn't really go out to the restaurants without all these restrictions. But let's talk about international travel or travel in general.
Right. So we had been in business for just over 10 years when the pandemic hit. So we were an established business, and our office in Chicago shares a wall with a Chinese consulate in Chicago.
Mm,
And so before there's even like a reported case of COVID here in the US, like travel to China stopped because there's reports of this, illness in China. And we were like, whoa, this has never happened before. And then a month later, everything stopped. So we had, I guess you could have looked at it a couple different ways, and we were fortunate enough to look at it as it took a little while, but we were able to look at it as a blessing. Like we quite literally had no business from February till about October of 2020.
wow.
We had to we took a little while to just like, okay, we stopped and we regrouped, I guess, and we started all these different little businesses that we had kind of looked into for add-on services, one of them being a virtual mail address. So we have this nice address in downtown Chicago, and people were starting businesses, and we put our name out there, and all of a sudden we had something like 2,500 addresses at our office, and we were just sorting mail all day, and it was carrying us through. And
Mm,
eventually travel came back, but back to your original question, is we had to we just threw stuff at the wall, and whatever two things stuck. But we tried a bunch of different things, and like the whole time we just weren't sure when travel was going to come back. And then slowly but surely it came back. And then, like, I remember the day, January 17th, 2023, like travel like went back, like they called it rage traveling or something, where people are just like, oh, I'm gonna travel. And
yeah.
business just took off like on that day. So it was a crazy day.
Wow.
It was like someone turned on all the switches.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's like, I have a friend of mine, and he said, imagine going on the 405 freeway in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, right? It's always crowded, right? And bumper to bumper. And then all of a sudden somebody says, hey, all right, on the count of three, one, two, three, you're gonna go. And then it just takes off, right? It's
Yeah.
actually, it reminds me of that, which is crazy. So yeah, rebuilding a business in an era where, I mean, that was a long time for you guys to be shut down and not a whole lot happening. Um, I guess besides getting creative and kind of throwing noodles on the wall to see what sticks, um, beyond that, I mean, there has to be a component of, mindset, the focus, a component of something to say, you know what, we're gonna stick to this because you could have very well just after 3 months of not seeing any activity shut down, right? So besides the fact that you were throwing things, how was the mental aspect and or maybe the different things you were doing to keep that positive mindset of we're gonna do this somehow.
That's one of the pivotal moments in the business, I think, for us. Like I kind of mentioned, somewhat early on, we had this realization that we have an opportunity to basically start over again. At first, it was really challenging. I think, like with everyone and their job, they didn't know what was going on. But like we laid off 10 people, and like it was emotional, and the idea about quitting, I think, had we known how long it was going to last, maybe we would have considered something different. But there's this something in both of our minds that we knew that we had the opportunity here to start over. And I think we also used that time to really dive in personally within ourselves, and we did a lot of personal work, like just personal spiritual practices and things like that, just really tweaked during that time period. And I think the combination of that and just having this, just we didn't know how it was going to look, but we knew that we could, however, whatever it meant, if we had to get rid of the office that we had, we would make adjustments, but we knew that we had an opportunity. Travel was going to look different, whatever it was that was coming. I think we're very grateful that we had that mindset right away. To be honest, I don't know where that came from, but it was kind of like inherent nature almost. It's like,
Yeah,
well, like
gotcha.
we built this thing for 10 years and we have this. It was good. It could have been a good opportunity to be like, see you later, but yeah, there was some reason that just kept us going.
Yeah, because you were in one of the primary businesses that got hit really hard in terms of just, along with, event spaces. I used to do a lot of seminars and work a lot of seminars. And, when you couldn't have them, it's like, okay, what now, right? Or
Right.
restaurants or places like that. So I think that's huge that you kept on. And I like what you're saying here and you kind of touch on that, but perhaps build a bit more on that because I think it's powerful. Like for anyone that's looking to essentially, whether there's a something similar to the pandemic or something in that nature, but just in general in business, when tough things are getting tough, really pushing forward. And you said success isn't just about building something big; it's about building something meaningful. Stay
Mhm.
true to your values, lead with intention, and don't be afraid to slow down and breathe, even in businesses. That's where the clarity and real innovation happen. So I really love that because I think there's a lot of hidden messages there.
Mhm.
Perhaps again you touched on that, but give me a bit more in terms of that message because I think it's huge. I think part of that one of the things that comes to mind to me is that a lot of times when we're looking at business, and at least that happened to me when I became an entrepreneur, is I was kind of going after that a shiny object. I wanted to make more money. It was really that, let me leave this 9 to 5 that was paying me really good money to just have this 9 to 5. And I was chasing that money, right? And I came to the realization that that can end pretty soon if there's nothing to back it up with. So I realized that if you're doing things for profits, I believe you're doing it wrong. You got to do it for a purpose and the profits will come, right? And that's
Right.
what I learned through my journey. But tell me more about that because I think it's huge.
Right before, so January 2020, this is interesting that you bring this up. I was just looking at it. We had done like an extensive vision for our business. So it was the 2025 vision for our business. And we had something published. It looked like almost like a magazine. Like, so we had it made out beautifully, and we had just given it to the staff. Like, here's our vision for what the business is going to be in 2025. And the staff was really involved. And so that was kind of like a piece that was there. uh, that like it was fresh. We had just published it, and then oh wow, this thing that you could never have imagined
Yeah.
happens. And I think the biggest lesson that I'll just speak for myself, but I know I can speak for Lori. But one of the biggest lessons was like this was like a big pause for everyone, right? Like all of a sudden it was like everything stopped. There's only certain things that you could do, and just every, gave us time to reflect on what are we really doing things for.
Mm.
And me personally, I found uh, that I would say leading up till then or till like 2018, I was very much in the mindset of, oh, I got to make money and like this business isn't successful without, profits and keeping expenses down and all that. And I think there's a phase of that which every business owner goes through. And during the pandemic, I was able to start kind of following a personal passion that wasn't the business, and I wasn't identified with this like, oh, I got to make money. And every business book says that I have to have this profit margin, like the kind of stuff that
Mhm.
goes to our mind. And I was able to redefine what success was in this time. And like it was only a dream at that point because like we didn't know when things were going to come back. It was like, oh, if like we talk about it, like, okay, when things get better and we have business, this is how we're going to do things. And it was like we had this opportunity to redefine what success was. And sure, money's part of it, but like there was a lot of other things like following personal passions, which also started carrying the business in a way that I never imagined.
Mhm.
Having personal pursuits as a business owner that has nothing to do with the business. So I
Yeah.
think I could talk forever on this kind of topic. I love discussing it because it's like, but just the pause to reflect on what's actually important.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And the fact that you talked about, creating a vision and whether it might have taken you a different path. I mean, I think that's something that, everyone has to do, whether it's, whether you're in business and or you just want to create a vision for your personal life. Like, where did I want to see myself? How did I want to see myself in a couple of years from now? and and being able to have that discipline, I think is huge. So let's talk about, you went through all of this, you guys revealed your business, so let's talk about the new business that was rebuilt off of this, and what is that doing for you, and how you're helping people, and why they want to, do things with you guys.
Great segue here. We so it's my wife and I. We've been the primary owners and are the only owners, and then we've kind of run it. The business has always been like a small, tight knit family, and I think we laid everyone off, and we were able to bring back a few key people. When we are able to hire again, and they all came on when things were still a little rough, like with financially. And I think we've been able to create a culture with the people that came back, and they've helped us establish this awesome team. Like we just got a great team. And I think what's been the most beneficial for the business is us being able to you work with our team to create these visions of like what we want to do, and just like everyone is contributing to ideas and the growth of where we're going. For instance, right now we're right on the cusp of launching a new software application that's very tied into what we do. And the commitment from the people on our small team,
Hmm.
it's like it's everyone's success. Like we've been fortunate enough to build something where everyone feels that their contribution matters, and like we all care about each other. And I think we came in as a side note with the attitude that sure, we're the owners of this business, but like that's a role, that's only a role that we play, and that we're all everyone that's working with us is an equal in all regards besides role. And that I think that's really created a great environment for us to continue to grow. And
Yeah. Within your business, and helping people with, assuming with passport and visas and things like that, do you guys also provide and or give recommendations to like, maybe let's just say, hey Rob, I want to go and see how I can be in Colombia for the next 6 months and maybe work remotely from there and kind of have that experience, that lifestyle, or whatever country that might be. Is that something that you can also speak to in, or do you guys provide any kind of service in terms of that, or is primarily just let me get you the right visas and passports to be able to do what you want to do?
We primarily provide the like the consultative service to get the visas. However, clients that come to us, we get a lot of, especially with people doing exactly what you're talking about, where they're planning out like a whole year to
Hmm.
be like a digital nomad.
Yep.
And so we do get the opportunity by offering what we do. Like, so someone will come to us, yeah, I want to live in Colombia, and then I want to go to Vietnam, and then, I want to be in Tanzania, or, it's like they're going around the world. And so we get to help plan that out. And, part of what we do and what the requirements are to obtain some of these visas is travel itineraries. So we get to see the cool things that people do. And I would say that's a side benefit that I didn't know that would be a side benefit to what we do, because we get involved in these people's cool
Yeah.
trips. And while we don't make money per se off of that, but the relationships that we all build with these clients is really cool. And then they come back because everyone's friendly with each other.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, just out of curiosity, like what is the longest travel path that somebody has given you?
There was this one family. They had like 15 family members. It was like a grandpa's like 80th birthday celebration. They had like a private jet planned.
Yeah.
And they quite literally had all these stops, and almost every country that they went to needed a visa ahead of
Oh my God.
like,
Yeah.
like you go to Japan, you don't need a visa ahead of
Right.
time. Going to like, they're going to Cambodia, Vietnam, and then like these African countries and India and China. And it was I think there was 15 countries that we ended up helping them get visas to.
Wow.
It was like an 8-month trip that they had planned.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And then do you ever come across situations where you're just not able to help somebody get the visa or
Yes. So one of the things that we do is we're providing detailed instructions on what the requirements are, and then based on our experience, we can assess what's going on. However, there's certain things that where, like passports, for instance, we help people get passports. Like we'll get a letter back from the passport agency saying they don't qualify for a passport.
Hmm.
Even though they look like they might, or China, like a Chinese visa, they might say, well, they overstayed their visa before, that they can't get a visa. And so it's like, all right, well, can't get a visa. It's an interesting thing because you can't pass judgment on what's going on because you don't know what's going on. But
Right.
uh, yeah, we sometimes have some very challenging conversations to have.
Yeah, I bet. And are most of your clients US based or do you also get people from other countries?
We handle mainly US based people. However, they could be passport holders from any country that live in the US. So they could
Got
be
it. Okay.
an Indian passport holder living here in the US traveling
Gotcha.
outside. So basically anyone that lives within the US, we can help out.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then in terms of obviously you've tried to create an environment where you make it easier for people. They're able to, obviously with all of the bringing in kind of like the leadership and innovations and technology to be able to help them um simplified, I guess, and perhaps make it easier for people to acquire. Well, again, you have no control over what can happen. I guess what would be the difference with me working with you and somebody else, right? What is the big differentiator? Because I think that's huge in this space, right? For me to say, hey, I want to work with Swift versus somebody else, right?
Right. And what we're doing compared to what our competitors are doing, like we're offering the same service, same rules. So there's this very fine line of what differentiates us. And I think there's some legacy companies within our industry that kind of have like an old way of doing business attitude. So like they're very structured, and which is fine. And it's not as personal. We're able to personalize the service, even with some very large clients, where we process hundreds of visas a month. I think that's the biggest differentiator is the relationship building, and I guess most importantly is the management of expectations. So
Mm.
if we can't get a passport for you because you have a trip on Wednesday, let's say, like we can't realistically get that to you, or we could, but it would take extreme logistics to get to you. We would rather say you're better off going on your own or doing this. Here's how you can go do this. Try this on your own. Whereas I think there's people in our space, that are just trying to get whatever business they can. They say yes
Right.
when when maybe no is probably a more appropriate answer.
Yeah, got it, got it. And then in terms of, I mean, I'm sure, it's different by person and by country or whatever they're trying to do. Are there any tips you can give for those that are listening in terms of like, hey, if you have a trip coming up and perhaps, you need a visa or some sort of permit or whatever, like any kind of tips you can give future travelers, that they can, take into consideration?
I would say the biggest thing, and this is what keeps us in business, but check your passport before even considering booking booking to make
Yeah,
sure that you number one have it, and number two it's not expired, and then whatever destination you're going to, finding out how long the passport has to be valid for. So like Mexico, if you fly to Mexico, it just has to be valid upon entry. But if you go to Italy or a lot of Europe, it has to be valid for 6 months. Uh,
before, yeah,
yeah, so checking the expiration date. But always never assume that a visa is not required. Like even like Mexico and Canada, there's more documentation that a US traveler has to fill out right now. And then
Mm,
even going to the United Kingdom right now, there's now an electronic form. And if you don't have it done before you get to the airport, they won't let you onto the plane. And so there's always changes. So keeping up with the US Department of State's travel updates would be my
yeah. For
biggest.
sure, for sure. And if people want to, say, hey, I'm booking my next travel and I'm trying to figure, how I can best do this. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? Where can they find you to make business with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is swiftpassport.com. There's tons of information about pretty much any country that you could imagine yourself traveling to, how to get US passports. There's also a really informational blog. We put like 4 to 6 articles a month up there.
Hmm,
Important travel tips, updates, news. It's just a great travel blog. And then all the social media, we're at Swift Passport. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but we'd be happy to help you. Even if you have questions, we're happy to answer questions and point you in the right direction, even if we can't help.
awesome. And then I would assume, a lot of people, they like to do cruises, right? And obviously, depending on where you're going. So that's
Yeah,
something. It's not just like, hey, air travel, here's your visa. You can also help them with, essentially jumping on a cruise and going to, especially if you're going to Italy, where you're going to, or Italy, I mean, Europe, where you're going to so many different countries, right?
that's
Um,
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, if you have a multi-stop destination, that's where our specialty comes in. Because sometimes there's a timing that's involved because if you have to submit your actual passport and then submit it to another place, like you can't do it all at once. But yeah, we love helping with the complex cases like that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Rob, let me ask you. Obviously, you've been able to rebuild a business. You guys have done a lot of great things, and you kind of touched on them. There's an element of believing and having that faith and hope that hey, we're gonna come through this, right? I'm just curious to know what are your Tony Robbins refers to them as rituals, but what are your daily habits? Like, do you have any daily habits? You as a person, you as a business owner that are must do on a day-to-day basis to keep you up and going?
I do, and I've really stayed deeply committed to them as of late. But every morning, I try and wake up even on my days off before 6 o'clock, and there's like a sacred period of time in the morning where I like to meditate, and I also read different religious books and just like a learning aspect. And I do that for about 30 to 45 minutes every morning. I also uh, try to, as often as possible, practice yoga, which is something that I personally find I'm able to deeply connect with myself, but also relax, separate from everything else that's going on. I think taking care of our body and mind is pivotal in becoming a successful person, but business person especially.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I have one last question for you in terms of this here. A lot of people that are watching us, that are listening to us, they probably want that lifestyle. They want the lifestyle of being able to travel or, and a lot of times, life gets on the way. So assuming that people that are listening to us, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can start doing to start overcoming that challenge?
I would say I touched on it a little bit with the vision for the business, but intentions. I think if we have bigger intentions, like there might be immediate things that need to be taken care of, but if there's intentions or a vision of what is success, it could be A, B, C, and D, and knowing that every decision you make from now forward aligns with that. I think that's what can pull us out much quicker because all of a sudden we're making decisions that are on a path towards something, and I believe opportunity opens up then. If we don't follow that, I think we get caught in the life happening to us, not
For
not
us.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I just want to add two things that I like the intention and the success, and oftentimes people tend to measure their success with somebody else's success, right? And so we got to be able to go back and remind ourselves that my success is different than Rob's success than anybody else for that matter. So you need to identify what is that to you or for you, right? And let that be the path that you want to take, like your success. And I love the idea of the decisions because I do believe that I always tell people that the decisions and choices that we take today will determine the quality of life that we have tomorrow. And we got to be able to start, taking those decisions. That's the big challenge, though, that a lot of times people just don't take that decision, right? They're so afraid. I don't know if that has come across with anyone that like, even it might be as simple as, do I want to take this, make this stop or not? It's like a simple decision that might be prolonged, right? And they
Right.
don't take it, and then that creates a ripple effect.
Oh, it sure does. I think that's one of the most important points. Like any odd decision is better than no decision.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
You at least find out whether it's the right one or the wrong one. You don't know. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Just do it. Take it for sure. And if, like you
Exactly.
said, and if it's the wrong one, pivot and take another decision, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just do it, right?
Or there
So no,
might
that's
be not
huge.
be any wrong decision because you learn a lesson regardless, right?
Yeah,
If you look at it from a higher view, but yeah.
100%. I agree with you on that too. 100%. Any other things you want to share in terms of your business? Anything else that you want to say to the listeners about what you have going on and how they can best utilize their time and make sure that their next trip is the best trip they have.
Yeah, thank you for that. I guess the one thing that I have to offer, or that I would be willing to offer, is if anyone ever had questions about starting a business or even traveling. But I love talking about it, and there's so many things looking back at starting the business and then getting the opportunity to restart it that I love sharing it, and I love talking about it. I also love talking about some of the life lessons along the way. So if anyone ever had any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And then obviously if you're traveling and have questions, we'd love to be able to help you out in any way we can.
I love that. I love that. Well, Rob, thank you again for that. And definitely, people need to check you out. And if there anyone like me who likes to travel, definitely, I just found the place to be and to go, right? Because I love traveling, and so I've learned a lot of lessons. Believe me, trying to do things by myself, and so having somebody in your side, it's a big help. So, Rob, thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Caesar. It's been an enjoyable hour here.
Yeah, definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure that you guys share this message because definitely somebody needs to hear it. And go ahead and connect with Rob. And I will see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.